Hey everyone, this is a really different video from what I normally do, but it's something that I've been wanting to do for a really long time. So the goal of this video is to take a look at what we can learn from Anime VR MMOs and kind of contrast them versus actual MMOs that we can play currently. In this case, I think we're going to take, I think Sword Art Online is the best example. It's the first VR MMO that actually caught my attention and kind of inspired me to want to do a video like this in the first place. Now, I got one thing to say, spoiler warning. If you've never seen it before, then yeah, keep that in mind. Yeah, the spoilers. So, of course, I'm not going to be talking about the storyline so much as the game itself, so maybe it's not that bad. So obviously the first thing that we're going to need to do if we're taking a look at the Sword Art Online as a game, we might also want to take a quick look at its virtual reality setup, its headsets, referred to as nerve gear. Now, this is a helmet that goes over your head, and it works substantially differently than any currently existing virtual reality technology. The main difference being is that this helmet places you in a dream state versus what we currently have now, which is optics, locomotion, and haptic feedback, things of that nature, which places it in a line that's a little bit closer to augmented reality, to be honest, than actually being in a virtual world. So we can't consider anything that we have right now to be what would be called full drop. We don't have full drop technology. In order to have full drop, you need to have this sort of dream state. So even though Sword Art Online takes place 5 years from now, it's it's using technology that nobody is pushing towards at all, as far as I know. None of the big game companies, nobody is actually pushing towards, full drop virtual reality. And I guess if we're going to go into that, one of the biggest advantages of full drop virtual reality is that it solves nearly all of the problems while creating many others that we currently have with virtual reality now. We run out of space, we have to have rooms, we need to have actual places to move around and all of that stuff. Yeah. All that goes away, and you don't have to worry about people's eyes getting tired, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You got other problems, different ones, but yeah. So the second thing I think we would have to take a look at is how Sword Art Online's world is actually created. It's a 100-floor tower with 100 towers on each floor having its own tower. Okay. It's shaped like a giant cylinder. At the top of each one of these towers is a boss, and when you defeat that boss, you go up to the next floor, and there's a major city above. So each of the towers has a city at the top. One of the things that they show in Sword Art Online is this like expansive open world, and they kind of contradict themselves because they imply that even though it looks like it's an open world, it's actually an enclosed space, and it's sort of like a series of canyons. Which makes sense because a lot of MMOs are like that. Also means that even 5 years from now, nobody is competing with World of Warcraft's open space environments. Even in a fucking MMO that was made up completely just to be the most badass thing they can think of. Still isn't as good as fucking Blizzard's MMO. But I digress. At least this one's virtual reality. One of the things that was kind of interesting and worth noting in terms of the world space is that once the plot began, Kirito, the main character, decides that it's time to make a sack run all the way to one of the neighboring cities ahead of time so that he can get a head start versus all the other players. Which doesn't really make that much sense because the level of the creatures isn't going to go down the further you go out. So one additional side note on this front is that there appears to be absolutely no transportation. But the world is actually super huge. So, okay, not all MMOs have mounts, not all of them have flying mounts. This one seems to be Sword Art Online, you walk the fuck everywhere. So any discussion about an MMO, either made up or actual, without talking about skills would be kind of a waste of time. Well, apparently Sword Art Online has an unlimited number of skills. Unlimited. Now that is not technically impossible because the nerve gear is doing super magical stuff, reading your brain. Everybody's brain is wired differently, so theoretically, it's possible that you could have a different skill set than another person, but unlimited number of skills isn't as cool as it sounds in practice. It's not. But it does sound really cool, doesn't it? I still say that, regardless, it's bad game design. Seriously. So one of the things that they talk about is that the game has no job system. Jobs meaning classes. A class is usually referred to as a job in games like Final Fantasy XI, Final Fantasy XIV, they call them jobs. Actually, the Final Fantasy universe in general, which is from Japan, makes sense that they would refer to that. So they say that there are no jobs and everything is skill-based. Okay. So on that note, I'm going to just come out and say it, that these games, anime, MMORPGs in general, love to pretend that they're these open-world sandboxes, these games where you can just lose yourself. I can be a blacksmith, man. But in reality, if you really want to get down to the detail, these things are WoW clones. Okay, let me not say WoW clone. Let's just say they're theme park MMOs. It's just a big theme park with a bunch of static stuff. And you're thinking, well, wait, these guys came up with like what they thought would be the most perfect and most awesome VR MMO that they can think. Yeah, they came up with. They just used what they know. Kirito, for example, he's always doing quests. You always see him getting leveled up. You always see like what level everybody is, and they talk about the levels of the bad guys. They'll name different quests. So in a game where questing is a predominant way for progression, you have to keep in mind that these NPCs can't die permanently. Otherwise, those quests become unaccessible. It becomes a total fucking mess. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So if you kill that NPC, it probably respawns, just like the boars do in one of the first scenes in the first episode. Everything comes back. And that's exactly how a game like World of Warcraft already flows. I'm using World of Warcraft because that's the formula. That's what these games are all based on right now. So when you see people talking about, well, I'm level 15, I'm level 6, what they're saying is that they quested and each of those quests gave them experience points. Quests do not usually, if ever, reward skill points. So you can have a hybrid system with levels and skill points, but they usually don't work very well together, because if you're leveling up, maybe it just raises your skill point cap. It just adds tedium to the game. It makes it less fun. Like, oh wow, I have to skill up my weapon more because I leveled. Ugh. It adds a shitload of. It's not fun. Which is the other thing too. Is like, well, if the game is an open world sandbox and all these skills, this infinite number of amazing skills that I can learn, that's totally unique to me, because it's reading my brain. But then there's 100 floors, and each of those floors has a tower with a boss at the top. Come on, let's be honest. In a situation like that, all non-combat skills are secondary. Now, you might argue that without a good blacksmith, maybe you won't be able to get the really good weapons, but that's not how these games flow at all. They don't work that way. Maybe Sword Art Online does, but there's a reason why the best items in every game isn't some crafted item from a blacksmith. Usually drops from killing the bosses, from actually playing the game. There's a reason why it's like that. It's not like, oh, wouldn't it be just really awesome if you had to get some dude who might die as a blacksmith to some X level in order for me to get my next sword? It sucks. It's not fucking fun. So keep that in mind. So another giveaway that this isn't an open world sandbox game is when you take a look at player housing. Now, player housing in Sword Art Online works by allowing you to buy or rent buildings on each of the cities, on each of the floors. And this kind of sounds a little bit like how housing works in Final Fantasy XIV right now. Basically, you buy a plot or you buy an existing building, and it becomes yours, and you craft the items that are necessary, and you got your own house. Well, in Sword Art Online, you actually have to pay rent, and the higher the floor, the more expensive it is. Now, the thing is that in an open-world sandbox game, typically speaking, open-world sandbox games allow you to build a house anywhere you want. And that's a really common thing. Sword Art Online, on the other hand, no. So, that's how that works. At least the game has player housing. What's next? Food. Food is a weird topic in VR MMOs, especially when it's ever brought up. Now, you might think, like in Log Horizon, they practically talked about food for the entire first season, but in Sword Art Online, they go an even weirder direction. Food numbs your actual hunger in-game. So if you're hungry in real life, you eat something, and it numbs your hunger. I mean, who came up with that? Let's create this super engrossing, like, realistic, alternate reality, and then give you the option to completely ignore your body's hunger. So Sword Art Online didn't need to have the nerve gear like fry your brain. It was going to kill plenty of people without that. That actually sounds even more deadly. And what about all the people who were there for like a week before anybody says anything? Like Klein, for example, he says that he was living alone. He could have easily just sat in his apartment for a week before it was too late, and he fucking starved to death. What the fuck? I'm surprised they didn't all just died from hunger. If the game was just as it was. Oh well. And while we're at it, it's a damn good thing this happened in Japan, because they have universal healthcare. If Sword Art Online ever happened in the States, I don't even want to think of the fucking hospital bills. Holy shit. They would have just pulled the plug on everybody. That's not funny, actually. That's actually kind of sucks. So, it's good that it happened in Japan. Let's just be glad, because it would have been Sword Art Online watch people keel over randomly because they just pulled the plug because they can't afford the bills. That's depressing, actually. Anyway, next. So I thought this was a pretty weird detail about the entire thing, is that and Sword Art Online appears to have been created by one person, even though it's absolutely ginormous. There's no way even a team of 1,000 people would be able to easily make this VR MMO and actually have it function. The sheer size of the world implies a massive dev team, while the story of the game itself implies it was all done by one person. Maybe this guy outsourced everything and nobody knew what they were actually working on. He just outsourced all of the art, all of the animations, everything. This one guy just like organized this whole entire thing, and everybody just worked on contract, and nobody really knew what they were working on. For fuck's sake, that's more implausible than the game's actual storyline. Okay, I know I'm not supposed to talk about the main storyline in the game, but okay, let's stop for a second. There's this one part in the story that kind of... All right. the guy who created it put a mirror in everybody's inventory, and when they pull the mirror out and they look at it, they become how they look in real life. I just want to insert a little bit of reality into the situation, because just going off of MMOs currently right now, this would be a lot more of a grotesque display than I think the Sword Art Online even wanted to try to delve into. They did actually kind of delve into it a little bit, but this topic is a crusher. Bottom line, VRMMOs, sex, gender, a very large portion of them would be giant-breasted goddesses, or cat girls, or just perfect bodies and yes, I'll save you with my chest. The contrast here, they should just name most MMOs people with perfect bodies destroy big monsters. And if you really want to go into it, like, we got VRMMO, the most successful one is going to be fight monsters and fuck girls. They'll just call it that. Why even, like, what's this veil of fucking sanctity? Why the fig leaf? Okay? Seriously. If Sword Art Online was trying to be, they were like 10% how accurate this situation would have been. They would have, yeah, maybe they just didn't want to be too realistic, even though that was kind of the entire point. But yeah. I seriously predict the timeline would be, I don't know, in 10 years, the average gamer will have probably fucked a minotaur, or some weird beast, or maybe a giant spider. I'm pretty sure that would have probably fucking happened, and maybe nobody would talk about it, but it happened. Sex, when you have virtual reality like this, we're talking population decline, motherfucker, penises and vaginas everywhere, just flying all, like taking out entire cities, alright? Orgies, man. I'm pretty fucking sure. I'm sure about this. We got full drop VR. Okay? That situation did not play out anywhere near how it would have been in actuality. I'm just saying. Not even fucking close. They glazed over this. And I'm not even saying they shouldn't have. Let's just be real. Okay, anyway, next.